Hey guys, it's Ashton here. This is my very first video ever posting with some of the actual EEG data that I've been able to get from testing some of the audios that I sell. So in this video, I'm going to show you the data that I found testing myself with one of the Theta audios from the missing link. And before we get into it, I just want to explain a couple things up front. So this is not by any means a super sophisticated EEG machine. It's called the Epic, I believe is how you pronounce it, from Emotive. And in terms of what I'm trying to do with my audios is basically verify that they're working and verify other people's audios as well. It does what it needs to do, but this is by no means super scientific, completely detailed, in-depth. It's pretty simple. So you'll see over here, these are the amount of nodes that are connected to my head at the time. The green you're seeing there is the signal that they're actually receiving the electrical signals from my brain. So I'm going to go ahead and start the video, and you'll see this is just kind of the startup screen where I'm making sure everything's good. We're going to go into the other program here where it actually measures what brainwaves are going on. And I'm going to pause it for just a minute and further explain. Side note, you're going to see that's an old video. I recorded this in 2015 when I was really testing all those missing link audios. 2018 now, but the data is still relevant. Anyways, one thing I found from doing this research with my brain, with other people's brains, with my audios and other people's audios, is that brainwaves, it's actually pretty fascinating. Brainwaves are very fluid. So I've seen other people's websites where they'll show a video of them supposedly testing an audio, and the brain data will just go solid green or solid red, and it'll just stay there. I have come to believe from my own research that that's a bunch of nonsense. I don't believe that, because what I found is that brainwaves are constantly pulsing, kind of on and off. Signals are changing. Different parts of the brain activate at different times, a little more than other times. And even when somebody's in a waking state, depending on who they are, in fact, each individual's brainwave data is quite unique. But at any given moment, even in somebody's waking state, you'll see hints of delta, you'll see hints of theta. In fact, some people have very strong theta signals kind of pulsing on and off while they're totally in a waking state, and then some people have very little beta. So that standard, everybody says, when you're awake, you're in beta. When you're relaxing, you're in alpha. When you're meditating, you're in theta. When you're deep meditating, you're in delta. It's not quite that simple. It's more about the dominant activity, and there's also a lot more focus on what part of your brain is being activated as well. So one thing that I found fascinating about this one in particular is this is one of the Theta audios in the missing link that's meant to actually activate the frontal lobe of the brain. And what's really cool about this video is you can see it working, and it's working actually way better than I had expected it to when I first started recording this data. So I'm going to go ahead and hit play. At this period in time, this is something I've always found interesting about my own brain, is that most moments of the day, if I throw on this headset, my brain is pretty evenly activated across both hemispheres. And I believe this has to do with long-term use of brainwave entrainment. That's just a side note. So I'm going to stop it one more time and go back just a little bit here and point out something. Right here, we're at 40 seconds. This is the moment that I started playing the audio. And what's fascinating to me is I've always been a subscriber of the idea that brainwave entrainment usually doesn't start working until about 5 to 10 minutes into the audio. But as soon as I kicked in that audio, you see a burst of theta activity up in the front of the brain there. So, and again, just to clarify, anytime you're seeing any color in any of these, we've got the theta in the upper right, the beta in the lower right, delta upper right, delta upper left, alpha lower left. Anytime you see even a hint of green, that's some kind of activity. When it turns red, that's a more intense activity, but you're seeing at least a little bit of activity in all brainwaves. But what we're seeing as soon as the audio started is that we're seeing a lot more frontal lobe activity starting to flare up, and we're starting to see more dominant theta activity. Like right there, we got a big burst of theta. So pretty interesting. You've also seen that the beta has calmed significantly from when I first put the audio on. Though again, you're seeing little flares. So at this point, you'll notice with the mouse, I'm turning down the gain on all of these because the signals have gotten so strong in all brainwaves it's just starting to flash red. So at this point, I'm turning down the gain so we're not getting these dramatic readings. I'm going to go ahead and skip forward. So keep in mind what's happening now. This is about 2 minutes in to me listening to the audio, and we're already seeing some really dominant theta activity. I'm going to skip forward. Now at this point, I'm kind of playing a game with myself. You'll see that a lot of the brain activity has kind of slowed down. You're getting a lot more blue, like right about now. At this point, while I was listening to the audio, not only was I wanting to test the audio, but I was playing around with the idea that as a long-term meditator, you can actually significantly slow your brain activity down completely, and it's theorized that you even have the ability to create no brain waves at all. So while I was listening to this audio, I was also trying to just still my mind to the point that my brain waves were just as flat as possible. And you see I was kind of able to do this, but of course at this point, I was doing a good job. But you can see there's still that theta activity kind of hanging around in the frontal lobe here, and you're going to see it kind of starts flaring up again. But at this point, it's pretty obvious to see that this is a theta brainwave entrainment audio. You've got minimal activity in these, and then you're seeing these stronger theta bursts up here. I'm just going to skip forward a little bit further into here. You still see that dominant theta frontal lobe activity kind of mirroring in the alpha, and you're seeing some beta as well. So now we're about 5-6 minutes into the audio. Skip forward just a little more. So again, that's about all I had to show you about this. Again, the most fascinating thing about it to me has been that even when you're listening to a theta audio, you're still going to see activity in the other ranges. Even now, there's this very low level, even delta activity. But the big thing that I gained from watching this with this audio is that, yes, you are seeing dominant theta activity. You're seeing a lot more theta activity. You're seeing a lot of frontal lobe activity, which is exactly what this audio was designed to do. And also, just as important, you're seeing very suppressed beta activity, or much lower beta activity than you saw at the beginning when I started the audio. So I'm going to be putting out a few more videos like this that show some actual data from some of my audios, and we'll probably test a few other people's audios. Trying not to throw anybody under the bus or to be rude or impolite to other audio creators, but I think you guys might be interested in seeing that as well. So that's everything for now. I would love to hear your thoughts or your comments or any experiences you've had dealing with brainwave entrainment or this EEG data or anything like that. So feel free to post a comment in the comment section below, and we'll talk again soon.